Hi everybody, my name is Victoria. Welcome back to my channel. And today I'm talking about my recent reads, and I don't think I've done an update on my reading since August. So I have a couple months worth of reading to chat with you about. Sorry, there's dog activity over here, so that's what the noise is. As soon as I start talking, they come over because I think they hear my voice. So yes, Dusty he's sneezing now. So that's always how these videos start, isn't it? But I'm going to talk about the books first that I've enjoyed, and well, some I haven't enjoyed in the last couple months. And I'm also going to start including TV and movie and music towards the end of the video. So if you're not interested in any of that, you can click away after the books. But I wanted to start putting that in my wrap-ups, but I tend to just not have time to make like a separate video for just movies and TV and music, like other media other than books. So I've decided to combine them and see how you like it, and we'll see how it goes. But first, let's get into the books. So I'm going to start with the DNF that I've had in the last couple months, and then I think I'll talk about the books in order of enjoyment or in order of star ratings today. So we're going to start with Mame by Jessica George. And this book I DNF'd at 60%. And so I really do wish I had DNF'd it before that. There was a point, maybe like 40%, when I started to consider DNFing it. And then I was like, no, let's just keep going. We'll see. Maybe this is just like a bump in the road. And it just got worse. So, this was a major disappointment. This was one of my book of the month choices, and at least I got it off of this cart. So we can knock one off of the TBR book of the month cart. But I was very sad that I didn't enjoy this. This book is about a young lady named Maddie, and she's from Ghana, and she was basically grew up in the UK. She also has her mom who lives in Ghana and is sort of estranged a little bit, and the mom has like some dysfunction as a mom, a little bit of a not very present mom. She's kind of removed from Maddie's life, and we also meet her brother, and then Maddie is like a new adult. She's like 25, I think is her age. So she is working a job, very disillusioned with her job. She also takes care of her dad who has Parkinson's disease. And so Maddie is the main caretaker for her father. And so she sort of resents her mother for that, because her mother is in Ghana and doesn't live in the UK with them. So there's a lot of family drama involved in this book, but that's not the part that I didn't enjoy. I actually did enjoy that part and that dynamic, and I didn't like where we went outside of that dynamic and outside of that storyline. So Maddie, the other part of this book is Maddie dating people. Maddie gets caught up with these roommates. She moves out away from her father, but she still lives nearby to take care of her father, but she decides to get roommates, and through those roommates we enter into, like, I don't know, what's the stereotypical like young people party scene, and what like people in their 20s are expected to do, like drugs and alcohol and things like that, and then like casual sex. That's like, you know, what the 20-year-olds are supposed to do when they're 20. So that part was not my favorite. There was a strong, I don't know, kind of condoning of like hookup culture and floundering. So that whole part of the book was just yucky to me, and I'm sorry if that makes me sound like a prude, but it's not. It's just not what I believe life to be about, and I didn't enjoy that part of Maddie's experience. I also didn't enjoy her reactions to things. She reacted very selfishly and like downright rude to many people in her life and to her family. And it was supposed to be like this sort of coming of age thing. And I just didn't agree with like any of it really. So this was a case where my life walk just didn't mesh with this book's life walk. So I just didn't agree with the things that it was sort of saying and condoning for someone in their 20s, and it just wasn't good. Which is sad because I actually really liked the writing style. I think Jessica George has writing chops, but like there's nothing about Maddie's character that I liked. I couldn't stand her. I just thought she was ungrateful for her life, and she just complained all the time. She couldn't see anything good in her life, and I sort of spoiled myself looking ahead, and it didn't sound like there was going to be any sort of redemption for that part of her character. So I don't think she was supposed to be an annoying character, but to me she was. So Mame was a sad fail for me, but that's okay. I wish I had DNF'd it sooner, but that happens sometimes. So unfortunately that one was absolutely not a book for me. The next book I want to talk about is Arsenic and Adobo by Mia P. Manantala, I believe. And this book was better. I did finish this one. This is a cozy mystery, a new cozy mystery novel, also a book of the month. So at least I got some book of the months off of my shelf. But this one was middle of the road for me. I had never read a cozy mystery before, and I'm not sure that this is like the best example of it. So I will try more cozy mysteries, but the premise was great. I just found the writing a little bit clunky, and I think this is a debut novel, so that is sometimes par for the course there. Our main character, who I don't remember their name, is a young Filipino lady, and she works at her family's restaurant. She's very much tied to her family restaurant, and they're this kind of adorable, close-knit unit, and her family drives her crazy, but she still loves them. And they have this Filipino restaurant where they make amazing, delicious Filipino food. And then one day there's this food critic that comes in who also happens to be Mia's ex-boyfriend. And he is always just kind of out to get them. He's always like looking for ways to give them bad reviews, and Mia kind of thinks it's personal. And so he comes into the restaurant, has a meal, and then falls down, face down in his soup, and he has been poisoned, and that is the murder that starts our book. So it's all about who done it after that. I don't feel like that's a spoiler because it happens in literally like the first chapter of the book. So it's also on the inside flap, but that is how our story starts, is with a murder in her family restaurant. And obviously she's a suspect because she was previously romantically involved with this man as well. So it's all about her trying to like clear her name, clear her family's name, because he was poisoned at her family's restaurant. And along the way we get great descriptions of food, of Filipino food that just sounds amazing. I don't think I've ever had Filipino food, and now I really need to try some because the food descriptions were really fun. That was definitely the cozy element of the story. And I did not really see the killer, like I didn't figure out who the killer was. And I thought that was well done. It was still just like, it was okay. It was a fun time. I don't really have anything like great or bad to say. It was just like, it was it was a read. I think it has a lot of positive qualities, and if you like cozy mysteries already, then you'll probably like this. This book didn't blow me out of the water, and it wasn't a terrible book. It was just like right in the middle for me, and I don't think I'll probably continue with the series. There's, I think, maybe 4 books out in the series. I'm not sure about that. But I don't think I loved this one enough to continue on, unfortunately. And I'll probably be unhauling my copy of it. But I'm glad I tried it. I do think I might have, there might be like more cozy mysteries out there for me to try that I might enjoy more than this one. But yeah, it was fine. The next book I want to talk about is Carmela by Joseph Lefanu, I think. And this was for our Patreon book club that I'm running, that I just started. This is only the second Patreon book club read of mine, and this was a delight. It was perfect for October. This is a book that is Victorian. Technically, it's set in the Victorian time period, but it's written by an Irish author, and so I'm counting it for Victober. It's officially the only Victober book that I read, which was sad to me, but that's okay. It was a short read, and it was like perfectly creepy and suspenseful and well written. This is about a female vampire and how she is sort of discovered, how she victimizes her prey and who her prey is. We hear the story from the perspective of a young lady named Laura, and Laura befriends this vampire named Carmela. And yeah, it's so short that I don't want to say anything else about it, but I do think you should read it. It had some really unique things about it, particularly for a Victorian novel. So one of the elements of it is Carmela preying on women, and she is in almost like a romantic way. So it's very unusual to see like a female protagonist with like a lesbian leaning. That's not something I think I've ever seen in a Victorian novel before. So that was an interesting element that we chatted about a little bit in our book club. Also, the portrayal of Carmela as a vampire is interesting to sort of trace. Like this was before Bram Stoker's Dracula. And so like Bram Stoker's Dracula is often considered like that's like the foundation of what a vampire is and the things that make a vampire. And I'm surprised at how many of those things were actually in Carmela, and Carmela was before that Dracula main novel. So that was fascinating. And also just to have like the female vampire, you don't see, well, you see it more in like modern stuff, but you didn't see it in Victorian era. So it had just some interesting elements that made it a unique read, unlike any other Victorian novel that I've ever read before. I ultimately gave Carmela 4 stars. The next book I want to talk about is New Moon by Stephanie Meyer. My vampire year is continuing, my vampire fall. I have had so many vampire reads lately. It's been fun, actually. So New Moon is a reread for me, but it had been a really long time, and I love New Moon. I love it more than Twilight. I think it's so fun, despite being a little bit sad in parts, and just like Bella wallowing in her own misery for a big chunk of the book. But I really enjoy like the whole Jacob aspect and getting to know Jacob and his family and all of that. I don't want to say too much. I feel silly because I'm sure most people know a lot about Twilight and like the story, but I still don't want to spoil it for you because it is the second book in the series. So yeah, I don't have a lot to say about this one either, but New Moon was just a fun time, which is what I expected. And I buddy read this with Christy, and it was really fun to talk to her about it too. So there you go, 4 stars. 4 stars for New Moon. It has all of the perfect teenage angst that I remember, and it is a fun story. It has atmosphere. The atmosphere is something that me and Christy talked about quite a lot was just like, this is just like quintessential. It takes us back to our angsty teenage girl lives. So New Moon is so fun to revisit, and I'm currently reading Eclipse right now, so I am continuing in my Twilight reread. And the last book I'm going to mention today is This Is What It Sounds Like by, why can't I remember? I'll put a picture right here. Oh, Susan Rogers, of course. I've read this book twice now, and I couldn't remember the author. So this book was also a reread, and it was for my Patreon as well. This was our first book club choice, and it was actually my choice just to kick it off, because I enjoyed this book so much the first time that I really wanted to talk to some people about it, and it was super fun. Dia had also read this before, and then Christy read it, and we had a lot of fun chatting about this and chatting about music taste and how it shaped how we perceive the music taste of others, what our music taste says about us, and where it comes from, how it develops. So this is a very, it's a brainy book, but it's not like hard to understand. Susan Rogers is a music cognition professor, and so she has spent a lot of time studying music and the brain, and particularly this book focuses on why we are drawn to certain music and certain bands and certain artists and certain songs. And so it talks about what elements of those appeal to us and why is that different from person to person. And so I just really enjoy what this book explores. I'm a music person. I have 3 degrees in music. So I love this kind of thing. It's just fun for me to explore, and it was really fun to chat about. We also had a little bit of a record pull, a record sharing, and at our Zoom chat for the Patreon, we shared some music that we thought represented us and our taste, and that was really fun to get to know my friends a little bit better. So that was just a great time, and I'm really glad that we reread this. I highly recommend it. It's super accessible, even if you don't know a lot about like how music works, but everyone enjoys music to some capacity, and so I think this is really a book for everyone. Everyone can enjoy this book. Great for nonfiction November. I'm just briefly gonna mention some TV and movies that I watched, at least in October. I don't remember what I watched in September, but we're going to talk about October at least. But one TV show that my husband and I have been super enjoying is Loki. And this might be my favorite Marvel TV show to date. I just think it's like in a different league. It's like leagues above some of the other ones. And I've enjoyed a lot of them. I thought that Wanda was my favorite of the Marvel TV shows. WandaVision. I thought that was my favorite. It still might be, I'm not sure. But man, Loki has blown it out of the park for me. It is so complex, and it's also unsettling. It's very like dystopian, and I just think that the acting is great. Tom Hiddleston is fantastic, and so is Owen Wilson, and I love this show, and I can't get enough. I'm so sad that we don't have any more episodes now, especially because they left us on a bit of a cliffhanger at the end of season 2. I think season 2. So I just love Loki. I highly recommend it. Even if you're not like a big Marvel person, I just think the show does some really cool things. We've also been watching The Chosen, which is a completely crowdsourced TV show, and you actually have to watch it on Angel is the app, I think, Angel Studios. And so this is a Christian made TV show about the life of Jesus, and there's things about it that I like, and there's things about it that I don't like. But I think the things that they do well, they do very, very well. I didn't agree with everything that they tried to do in the season, particularly in the last, 20 minutes of the series. But there were some great moments, some really great moments of like Jesus and the healing and the way that he was working in people's lives, especially when we see him like disciple his own disciples. And we see them interact with his own disciples and the ways that they are learning from him. I think that the show does that dynamic super well, and it's just worth watching. And I was really skeptical about this for a long time. I thought the first season was incredibly slow and nothing happened, and I still think that's true, but this season, that's the most recent one. Again, I don't remember if it's season 2 or 3. I think it might be 3. This most recent season was really just fantastic, and I completely enjoyed it. So I can recommend that you try watching The Chosen. The actor who plays Jesus is also very good. Not all the actors are good. Some of them are better than others, but overall, for this to be a crowdsourced funded show is pretty incredible. It's pretty good. We watched a couple spooky movies also in the month of October, of course. One of those was the new Haunted Mansion Disney movie, which we really enjoyed. I didn't know what to expect. I thought this could be a complete dud, but actually it went like deeper emotionally than it probably needed to, and that was really good. It explores grief, it explores like family and found family as well, and I just did really like it. It also has really good nods to the Disneyland ride. So that was something that I thought the Eddie Murphy Haunted Mansion, if you've ever seen that it didn't do as well. The Eddie Murphy Haunted Mansion kind of went on its own thing, but this newer Haunted Mansion did a great job of head nodding to the Disneyland ride as well. And with the visuals that you saw, it was a very good compliment, I thought, to the Haunted Mansion franchise. And it was way better than I expected. My husband talked me into watching the movie Halloween because I'd never seen it. So this is Mike Myers, the famous bad guy. And we learned a lot about this movie, actually. After we watched it, we researched it a bit more. And so my take on this movie is that it's pretty bad. It's pretty terrible. Just very low budget, and it was low budget. Not very good special effects, not very convincing things. The plot is sort of boring. I was surprised because this is such a cult classic movie. And then we kind of researched, like, why is it a cult classic movie? And it's because it sort of opened the door for like suspense movies in this genre. That it did some things that like no movies were doing yet, especially like suspense kind of tension scenes. This did it in a way that was not super common at the time, but now it's very common. So I think that's also what was like against the movie for me, is because I didn't find the tense scenes to be even very tense. I was just like, okay, whatever. But the audience of the time, of the 70s, would have found those more harrowing. But to me, this movie just was not very well done at all. So it's a cult classic, and I respect it for that, and I respect it for what it did for the slasher film genre. Not that I even watched slasher films ever, but it was Halloween night and we needed something spooky, so now I can say I've seen it. And then I'm just gonna share a couple albums that I've been enjoying, a couple music albums, and one of those is the Family Crest. This is a new discovery for me. I have been I've been listening to Beneath the Brine, which is not, I don't think it's their most recent album, but it's very good. And what I like about the Family Crest is their use of different instruments. They use flutes. They have some really lovely things with flutes, and I'm a flutist and I love that. They have a very unique sound, and I really enjoy the lead singer's voice. So this is a group that I am now following, the Family Crest. I really enjoyed this album. Another album that I've been loving is the new recording of Sweeney Todd with Josh Groban. And I started listening to it because I was like, okay, Josh Groban as Sweeney Todd, I must know if this works. And it totally does, of course, because he's Josh Groban and he can do anything. But I think he's fantastic as Sweeney Todd, but who's really fantastic is the female lead. Annalee Ashford is her name, and she plays Mrs. Lovett, and she's fantastic, like top-notch, amazing. Her humor, the way she brings humor to the character, her accents are flawless. Her voice is just angelic and beautiful and perfect. She changes her voice stylistically for the moment, and like just the right ways, and I'm really enjoying it. It's such a good recording, and I'm so jealous because my stepsister recently went to New York City and she saw this live, and I'm just so jealous. I would love to see this production. It's so good. I've so been enjoying listening to it. But if anyone ever does a film version with Josh Groban and Annalee Ashford, man, that would be amazing. I do really enjoy the Johnny Depp version too. And, what's her name? I can't believe Helena Bonham Carter. I almost forgot her name. I do really enjoy that version as well. But in particular, this is absolutely my favorite Sweeney Todd recording ever. So just fantastic. Good stuff. And that is a plenty long enough video for you for one day. Those are the things that I've been reading and enjoying in September and October. And I would love to know what you've been reading lately, or if you want to share any TV or movies or music that you've been enjoying too. I would love to know. All of my social media links are down below if you want to follow me in other places. Thank you so much for watching my video today. Hit subscribe if you are not subscribed already if you enjoyed this video. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Keep reading great books, and until next time, bye-bye.